Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. As we mentioned earlier, today is World Down Syndrome Day, and there's a conference happening at the Hyatt Regency Hotel from 9 a.m. this morning. Let me welcome two of the speakers who will be at that conference. We have attorney at law, Laurina Ramkaran, who is also a human rights advocate, and David Egan, who's a self-advocate, author, and a global ambassador for Special Olympics. Good morning and welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
How are you guys doing this morning?
We're good, excited.
Yeah? David, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well.
Nice to have you here in Trinidad and Tobago and, of course, on the Now Morning Show. Let me start, Laurina, by asking, how did the conference, because this is a two-day conference.
Yes.
The first day would have been yesterday in Tobago, and you guys were both speakers at that conference yesterday. Tell me how it went.
It went really well. The Tobago crowd is usually a very warm one, a very engaging one, because I think the culture there is a little bit different. Everybody's a little bit more tight-knit.
Right.
So it really was a good experience. We think everyone gained something because everyone had something to say after. So we're really glad to get that level of engagement, especially from persons who work in the schools, in the medical field, to at least know that, okay, they understand what we are trying, the message we're trying to get out there.
Yeah. David, tell us a little bit about your story in terms of the advocacy that you seek and the experience that you've had so far.
Well, I can tell you my experience in starting off from childhood to adulthood. I was born in Madison, Wisconsin, in the United States, where I had a lot of tremendous support from childhood to adulthood. I think that's what started it all from there. And based on those experiences early on in my life, not everybody would normally expect for me to do other things that I have never thought of doing before. And now here I am, fast forward to now, and I can tell you that our disability movement has changed over the years. It's not what it used to be in the past.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of misinformation being used. And from where we are now, we're more technological savvy. We're not like following every day, every second, every minute to know what's really going on around us. So the World Down Syndrome Day is kind of like encompassing Down syndrome.
Yeah.
But I can also tell you that there is a belief out there that is also that our support system is not just limited to one specific condition.
Right.
Because it expands a global conversation when it comes to intellectual and developmental disability.
What do you hope you get out of the conference? Or what do you hope people who attend the conference, both yesterday and today, what do you hope that they're able to take away from the conference?
Well, I take away a lot of things because this is not my last time I've been here.
Right.
I've done it before, a few years ago. This is my third one now.
Right.
Yeah.
This time as a published author, which I'll get into later.
Yeah.
I could tell you what I took away from the one in Tobago. I echo what she said earlier on, but for me, I can tell you it's very interesting how certain individuals are ready to speak up, speak out. They want to take on the mantle, pass it on to the next generation. So we're just blazing that trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that you're here for the third time doing it means that you're definitely onto something and something important.
Yes.
Laurina, tell me about the lineup of speakers that we have in store and the mission of the conference today.
Okay, so we have David Egan, of course. We
Right.
also have Angel Blaney. She's another self-advocate. When I say self-advocate, just for the persons that don't know, we mean that person with a person with Down syndrome who are able to advocate for themselves.
Right.
We refer to them as self-advocates. So Angel Blaney is another self-advocate from Canada.
Okay.
She's going to speak about her experiences. She's actually a chef, a very successful one, who also published her own cookbook. We try to bring down these self-advocates, so we show persons in Trinidad and Tobago the potential, what could be if it is we continue to advocate for full inclusion. Yeah, we also have psychologists coming to speak. We have a panel discussion, all with self-advocates who are going to speak to their experiences, especially in the workplace. Because the Down Syndrome Family Network, we have a mentorship program where we're able to get internships for persons with Down syndrome in the corporate sector. So we're going to have multiple self-advocates going on a panel to speak about their experiences and how it has been for them in an inclusive work environment.
Tell me, in terms of the response to the interns working in the corporate environment, how was the take-up, the upturn on it so far?
So we have a lot of corporate entities wanting to hire more persons with Down syndrome, at least for internships. The issue is because there's still a stigma attached to persons with Down syndrome and disabilities in general. The issue comes in, do we have enough qualified persons with Down syndrome to fill that gap and to fill that need? Because I feel as if inclusion is now one of those popular words that the corporate world is latching on to, and they want to jump on that train. But in Trinidad and Tobago, we aren't as progressive as so-called first world countries when it comes to providing equal access to education, which of course affects now the network's ability to now be able to
Place people
for the work environment.
Tell me something, is that directly links to the theme of improve our support systems?
Yes.
Because those are some of the support systems that would need to be improved.
Yes.
David, let me jump across to you. You mentioned that you had that support growing up in childhood into adulthood. Tell me what that support looks like that we can work on improving here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, it's a multifaceted approach. What you said is true, is correct. It's about family, the community, but it goes even further than that. In my talk, I'm going to say something about from the parent perspective, from an educator perspective, the legislator, the employer perspective. All of that is encompassing on a variety of topics that I think she also mentioned too in the work that she does. So it goes without saying that we're not going anywhere.
You have to find a way to make it work.
Yes. I noticed that sometimes it's not a natural way of fixing the system. There's multiple ways of how we can construct a conversation that is being represented from an advocate, from someone who knows the legal system, who also knows about what it's like to employ individuals with disabilities. From a legislator side, it could be a conversation on a myriad of issues like public policy or legislation, whatever it may be, whatever the issues that may come up. It's something that we need to start engaging. Because it's a continuing thing going on, and it's not going to stop because we're in a global community. I often say that I use this world as an oyster. It's a metaphor to a way that how we are all integrated one way or another, whether if it's nationally, geographically. It's not just the politics of it, and I'm not going to go into that because there's a lot of ambition, there's a lot of drive that comes from that.
Right.
And I know what that is like because I did a fellowship from the Joseph P. Kennedy Jr. Public Policy Fellowship Foundation. And they have Kennedy Fellows that go on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. to address all the policy concerns that people are facing. And still, to this day, they still are.
So it's a continuous battle, a continuous fight. Tell me a little bit about your book. More alike than different. This is your first published book, yeah?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I'm not sure where to begin, but I can tell you that.
What inspired you to write it? Let's start there.
Well, during the time of COVID, I never thought of doing something like this. But it seems like what I can say is that how this came about is that I was on CBS News in the United States, explaining how my book is going out to every congressional member on Capitol Hill. And it was the #1 bestseller on Amazon for 1 week.
Nice, congratulations.
But the making of the book would not have been possible thanks to my family, the supporters I've had through my employers. All of this is a huge collection of people that I've come to know over the years, those who know me very well. And the book is available publicly. I also have a website too. It's called davideganadvocacy.com. Please check it out.
Yeah.
If you want to order the book, you can.
So is it that it's a collection of stories, or is it this your story?
No, it is my story.
It is your story.
Yes. And then there's also in the book anecdotes from what other people have said about me.
Okay.
But essentially, it is my book.
And if in terms of what people say about you, how does that affect you?
I think it does in some way because they've come to know me well enough.
Yeah.
So they can account all the different things I have been involved in over the years. And I could also mention that you may not know this. I know a very good friend of mine who is the chairman of Special Olympics International.
Right.
His name is Tim Shriver. He's one of a kind, special friend of mine that I've known for quite some time. I know his family, I know his parents, and I can tell you my family knows them too. So we have a great connection with them. And I just want to share that with you as a shout out because there's a belief out there that all individuals, regardless of a disability, have rights of their own. And to do that, we need to know one thing about how the legal system works, how the employers operate, and what they do. So it's a conglomerate of thought-provoking ideas and what unifies us rather than what divides us.
Yeah. And that's an important way to shift the conversation as well, is to make sure that we all realize that we have more connections than we sometimes realize. It starts at 9 a.m. this morning. If people are interested in being a part of the conference, Laurina, how can they get in?
Yeah, so we have registration on Island e-tickets. There are also our social media pages. Our social media pages will have the flyer up with the contact numbers who you can reach out to. If it is you're able to call or WhatsApp, I'm sure an arrangement can be made for you to be able to register. Of course, self-advocates are free, but the cost is $300. It's located at the Hyatt Regency. Of course, it's a proper international conference. So what you get for the $300 in terms of the information and the caliber of speakers, it really is worth the money.
And it's from 9 a.m. this morning till what? Till 1 p.m. I see here.
Yes.
All right. Nice. Well, I want to say thank you both so very much for joining us this morning and for continuing this work, because I think it's very, very important work. Before we wrap, though, I want to ask you both to give a message to Trinidad and Tobago. We can start with you, David. In terms of what message would you like to leave with Trinidad and Tobago this morning before you leave? You can look into this camera and talk to the nation.
Well, I can tell you, my name is David Egan, and I'm 47 years old, and I have Down syndrome. So I'm no different than anybody else. And I'm not just like any person with a disability, for that matter. What I can tell you is that this is a core subject that we all care about so much, and that is our support systems. So if there's anything out there that you can find, whatever you get your hands on, take it, own it, do whatever you want with it. That's what we're trying to do here in Trinidad and Tobago. So just throw out that old dusty book out the window, start ordering my book, and you get to know more things about the disability community that you haven't even imagined yet. So reach for the stars and see where it takes you, because that's what we're all about here.
Thank you so much, David. Laurina?
Yeah, I just have one simple sentence. Opportunities.
This one will be yours. Yeah.
Opportunities reveal potential. It's only when we give persons with disabilities the opportunity to be able to access basic things like education will we truly see what they are capable of.
I want to say thank you again for both of you for joining us. And of course, we look forward to the conference happening later on this morning from 9 a.m. at the Hyatt Regency. Head across to Island e-tickets. You can also head across to dsfamilynetwork.org and check out their social media pages as well to get more information and be a part of the conference. I say thank you very much to attorney at law, Laurina Ramkaran, and David Egan, self-advocate, author, and global ambassador for Special Olympics. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thanks.